that we can continue to do so to meet the expectations of African leaders and governments.
Collaboration over the years has helped to scale up legislative.
I'm glad to note that
bills to the Senate for concurrence from the House of Representatives. The bill for an act to make provisions of gunshot, as well as strengthen legal and
scientific knowledge, and to facilitate the use of science in the solution to problems of national interest.
Technologies Bill, Corporate Money Bill. The upper chamber therefore urged the federal government through Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET to
that the recent flood disasters in the country appear to have consistent victims.
To get any other ways to ensure the immediate repair and reinforcement of damaged infrastructure that could
about the ongoing strike in Ladoke Akintola University. This was, however, approved for the next legislative day, Wednesday. Recall process, criticizing Kogi State government for its alleged role in the recall process initiated against Senator Dino Melaye, representing Kogi West at the Red Chambers. Senate President Bukola Saraki, who was reacting to a point of order raised by Senator, process must pass through the Senate for vetting after INEC must have concluded its process. Reacting to this position, Kogi State Attorney General, relying on Section 68, subsection 8, had, according to Ikoyomadu in his point of order, contended that the Senate had no role whatsoever in the recall process.
2010. So if I'm talking about the constitution, I must know what I'm talking about. And I expect the Attorney General, instead of displaying his ignorance, to simply call me and I educate him on the correct position of the law.
Saraki said that it is unfortunate for Kogi State government to spend 12 million naira on adverts in response to the
10 million on advert. I mean, I've been a governor. When you even find money for advert, it's a difficult thing on an issue that I don't see where the involvement of government is. I think this pretty even shows that it is government that truly is behind this entire process, when a government can go about and take an advert on an issue like this. I think there's really honestly need for some of people who are appointed or elected to position to show some level of responsibility.
You're still watching the news on Galaxy. To our website www.galaxytvonline.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel www.youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can also follow or interact with us via our Facebook page www.facebook.com/GalaxyTV or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our page 17 budget for constituency project like boreholes, a position that is said to be pitching the national.
In me as an individual and the National Assembly. Now let me make that very, very clear. Many of the senators and honorable members are my personal. Remember that when President Buhari launched the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, it had enormous support from the leadership of the National Assembly, Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So it means that we all agree that there's a problem.
The minister, however, expressed optimism that the perceived acrimony.
And this is, for me, a very, very healthy development for our democracy. And I'm sure that with the leadership that the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the principal officers and the acting president are providing, we will resolve this in the ultimate interest of who we serve, the Nigerian people.
The recent standoff between Adeleke of the Osun State People's Democratic Party has received his certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission. Adeleke defeated his All Progressives Congress counterpart to emerge winner in the last Saturday's by-election for the seat, which was made vacant due to the demise of Osun West, for recognizing his impact towards their well-being, looking accomplished after receiving the certificate of return from the National Commissioner representing Southwest in the Commission. Adeleke acknowledged the impact of his supporters and his party the PDP as well as his
Osun State in general. And of course, my party, PDP, People's Democratic Party, the biggest party in Africa. The PDP, and of course, darkness vanished.
The Independent National Electoral Commission on Sunday declared a delegate winner of Saturday's by-election held in the 10 local government areas that make up the district. Ademola, who is the younger brother of the late Senator Isiaka Adeleke, had 97,480. Moving on now, as the subject of restructuring continues to resonate as a matter of national discourse, a Nigerian lawmaker has lent his voice on the subject by saying that in a chat with Galaxy's Godfrey Obemata, Honorable Sejas Ogun of Eson North Federal Constituency of Edo State said the talk about true federalism should now be backed up with action now that the call for restructuring is loudest.
Truly practicing true federalism. So I will urge for us to, in this country, we know the states, we know the boundaries.
The PDP lawmaker says the restructuring of the country should afford the productive state better leverage that could boost their individual economies, what should ultimately translate to greater development. He says the era where state had to the federal government cap in hand for allocations should be a thing of the past.
Part of the country where you don't allow this kind of habit, when you cannot sell alcohol, when you cannot have hotels and all. And then you take money from that VAT and you send to those places.
We're talking party politics now. This time around, we'll move on next to Ogun State. Chairman of the Ogun must be on deck to support the agitation for restructuring in the country. He made this known in Abeokuta during a program organized by a women group to honor the senator representing Lagos West, Olamilekun Adeola, and his wife, and have been busy with their own agenda, which is different from the collective interest of the people.
With Nigerian politics, a whole lot of things are really wrong, which need to be wrong.
Speaking on why he has been advocating for Senator Olamilekun Adeola for topmost political office in the state, Additional said he knew his political
He's been a party man for decades.
From Ogun State now to Kwara State. The Speaker, Kwara State House of Assembly, Honorable Ali Ahmed, has attributed the irregular salary of teachers across the nation to too much funds allocated to the federal arm of government, which takes almost 52% of the total budget of Niger. Submission when the leaders of the Nigerian Union of Teachers paid him a courtesy call at the House of Assembly in Ilorin.
And really, if we don't do anything now, the education sector will collapse completely. We are getting it wrong in education because the foundation is faulty. Now it's building private universities, charging
too much money in the yearly budget, which has incapacitated state and local governments financially.
Local government, as we have it today, cannot. There's no magic about it. They cannot handle primary school education.
Earlier in his address, the state chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Comrade Musa Abubakar, urged the assembly to help them in their cause in carving out the monthly salary from the local government.
Potency of education to drive us to the next level, we felt this issue has to be addressed.
You're watching Galaxynews. When we return from this quick break, maritime workers protest port privatization. Details in a moment. Stay with us. passed at the National Assembly. The workers who gathered at their Marina office aired their grievances. Onyinyechi Ogo has more on the story.
The bill, according to the union, which establishes Nigerian ports, threatens the job security of members and survival of nation's ports. The union chanting songs, expressing their displeasure over what they describe as a sad development. The president of the senior staff government to protect and create jobs. Other members of the union who also spoke underscored some of the ports seeks to harm majority and favor few individuals promoting it.
I believe the workers should be carried out. The infrastructure of MPA is manpower that makes of it. But when you are considering a bill without considering the human element inside it, I think it's unfortunate.
That government, but for security reason, in Nigeria, giving our boss department to a private hand means giving the security of the nation to private hand.
Part that we have remaining in the ports, if it's sold now, that means a lot of us will lose our jobs.
The union said they are determined to ensure.
Away from Lagos, in the meantime, maritime workers in Rivers State have rejected the port's harbour bill, saying it is a threat to the national security and will create unemployment. The workers who converged in the Niger during the protest, Deputy President General Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Tonye Harry Leonard, said the bill is selfish, inhuman, and should not be passed. Activities of the port into the hands of private entities, which will milk the economy of the nation.
It's a way of sending so many people to the labor market again.
Some
keep on rolling into this country, and we are fighting against civil war. We should all fight against this port and harbour bill because we are not in support of it.
In fact, we are against the bill they wanted to pass. So many of our members will be thrown.
And away from the maritime workers' protest, back here in Lagos, the Nigerian Police Command Zone 2 on Tuesday paraded 17 suspects arrested for various offences and at different locations in Lagos and Ogun State. Parading the suspect at the Lagos, she reaffirmed the command's readiness in tackling crime and criminality in the zone.
Suspected robbers, which information got to the zonal command that they were planning to go and rob a bank after a microfinance bank in Agbado area of Ogun State. Upon the information gathered, we swiftly moved into action and the suspects were arrested.
Moving on, the Nigerian Communications Commission says it has commenced aggressive enforcement of its Code of Corporate Governance to ensure that licenses in the communication industry continue to operate as viable businesses in the country. Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Professor Omar Dambata, made the disclosure at the 80th edition of the Telecommunications Consumer Parliament (TCP) held in Abuja Tuesday. He maintained that the Commission will continue to take steps to ensure that the telecom sector remains vibrant while making interventions to prevent disruptions to consumer experience.
The organization has decided to celebrate consumers of the Nigerian telecom industry this year, consistent with the 8-point agenda that I set out when I assumed office in 2015.
Other stakeholders hammered on the right of consumers and emphasized on its protection at all times without compromising the interest of other stakeholders in the industry.
This year is a word consumerizing, which is building a digital world that consumers can trust. And they need to know that the NCC has also chosen 2017 this year aside worldwide to raise awareness on the rights of consumers.
The consumer, which is invariably all of us here are one or two of one services or the other. Able consumer want to have a very satisfied service.
The theme of this year's edition is celebrating the telecommunications consumer.
Welcome to business. The Nigerian Stock Exchange, NSE, on Tuesday lifted a suspension of trading in the shares of Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC. The exchange audited account for the period ended December 31st, 2016. Last week, the Stock Market Authority suspended 17 companies listed on the NSE, thereby making it impossible for their investors to trade or do any business with their stocks. The sanction was imposed on the companies for fail to file their annual financial accounts and operational reports in line with the requirements in the listing rules at the exchange. In a statement, the Stock Market Authority said the sanction would remain till the other companies comply with the demands of the guidelines. Meanwhile, Nigeria has resolved to bring down the inflation rate to a single digit by 2020 and rates dip consecutively in 4 months. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, in its Consumer Price Index, CPI, May 2017 report, released in Abuja on June 14, indicated that the country's inflation dropped to 16.25% in May from 17.24% in April. According to the report, this is the 4th consecutive decline in the rate of inflation since January. The Bureau stated that the headline index increased by 1.88% in May 2017, 0.28% points higher than the rate of 1.60% recorded in April 2017. However, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, expressed government's commitment to further contain the inflation rate so as to make life more meaningful to the citizens. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it is committed to ensure the Nigerian banking sector is not used as a conduit pipe for money laundering or any other nefarious activity. This assurance was made by CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele at the opening ceremony of Regional Course on YFM.
Grade their skills in detecting, tracking and combating money laundering. Because those who are involved in money laundering, which involves terrorism, human trafficking and so on and so forth, they seem to be ahead of the regulatory agencies.
Supported West African Institution for Financial and Economic Management, WAIFEM, with about $8 million for the past 15 years. He added that the purpose of the $1.3 million grant being offered to the institute now is to enable YFM.
Providing covers everything from debt management to financial management, financial control, and to issues related to illicit financial flows and money laundering, fighting those kinds of crimes, financial crimes.
Participants at the regional course agree that money laundering is a threat to financial stability of every country, and Ministry of Finance and law enforcement agencies of Nigeria, Gambia, Ghana, and Liberia, as part of efforts to improve